This video is on the second part of the homework. Actually, the first video only covered questions 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I know the first part of the homework included question 5 and problems number 1 and 2. This video is going to cover problem 5, discussion question DQ number 5 and 8, 9, 10, which are part 2 of the homework, and it's also going to cover all the problems 1, 2, and 3. Please get your homework out. And please review your homework and fix it, make notes, marginal notes, take notes in your notebook while we're going over this stuff, okay? All right, so number 5, what backs the money supply? And as we said in earlier videos, the money supply no longer represents gold or silver specie, so technically nothing backs the money supply except, and this is very important, this is the phrase that a Treasury person will tell you or a Federal Reserve person will tell you, our money is backed by the full faith and credit of the United States government. So one more time, write that down. The full faith and credit of the United States government. Now for the US government, that's very meaningful. We're one of the most powerful governments in the world. If we were in a small nation, African, Latin American nation, Asian nation that is struggling to survive, and governments get overthrown all the time, the full faith and credit of that government would be questionable and their money would not be very usable, frankly. But the United States government is strong, powerful, and our Federal Reserve System has the ability to maintain the value of the currency by limiting its growth, by managing the growth of the money supply. All right, the purchasing power of money. So way up here at the top, remember that the purchasing power was this formula right here. The value of the dollar is equal to 1 over P. The P is the price level. To get a price level, we use a price index. So we don't use actual dollars and cents. We use the price index. You determine a base year. In an earlier video, I suggested maybe you use 2002 as the base year. What will a dollar buy in 2002? Or maybe a better measure is what will $100 buy in 2002? And then what will it buy today? So today's price index might be 333, okay? So if the price index today is 333, it means that prices have more than doubled. In fact, they've tripled. So the value of the dollar would be 1 over 333. Remember, a price index must be translated back into a decimal number, so it's 1 over 3.33, and that's going to mean that the value of our currency is about 1/3 what it was before, so the value of the dollar is now 0.33 cents. Okay, we've got problem number 3. Is that all over again? Okay, we're doing it, we'll get down to it again in problem number 3. All right, question number 8. What is meant by saying the Federal Reserve banks are central banks, quasi-public, or bankers' banks? You read through that. I've explained that in the previous video. They're central banks, determine policies coordinated by the Board of Governors. They're quasi-public banks, meaning they're a blend of private ownership and public control. Private ownership, the member banks own them. They own stock in them. They get paid dividends on their stock. And public control, the president appoints the board of governors that determine policy for all of the 12 district banks. They're bankers' banks in that they take deposits from the banks. They provide financial services to the banks. Okay, number 9. Why do economists uniformly support the idea of an independent Fed over one that is beholden to the president or Congress? I explained that in the earlier video. We want the Fed to not be part of the political business cycle. We want them to make decisions independent. Currently, we're really seeing that happen. Jerome Powell and the current Board of Governors are resisting President Trump's demands that they lower interest rates. Now, they have lowered interest rates in recent months, but not because President Trump wanted them to, when he wanted them to, but because of the recession that we're going into due to the coronavirus outbreak. So they're doing it independently of whatever President Trump wants or what the Congress wants. Number 10, identify any 3 functions of the Fed of your choice, other than its main role of controlling the money supply. And you got that out of the book. Hopefully you just copied what it said in the book on that one. You needed to go over 3, issuing Federal Reserve notes, setting the reserve requirement, making sure that banks have mandated reserve requirements, lending money to banks and thrifts, check collection or check clearing as we call it, fiscal agent for the federal government, or supervising the operations of the banks. All right, and then we did problems number 1, 2, and 3. So problem number 1 is about iron mania, and they give you a list of all the various amounts of money in iron mania. Federal Reserve notes in circulation, $700, MMMFs, $400, et cetera, et cetera. They talk about corporate bonds, $300, iron ore deposits, $50. Those have nothing to do with the money supply, obviously. You ignored those. Currency and commercial banks, $100. That's not part of M1 or M2 either, so you ignored that particular $100 there. Savings deposits go into M2. Checkable deposits are M1. Small denominated time deposits are in M2. Coins are in M1. So here is the list of things that go into M1. The Federal Reserve notes of $700, the checkable deposits of $1,500, the coins of $40. That adds up to $2,240. I think everybody got that right. A lot of you, I know you're finding the answers online somewhere. I hope you're actually looking to see how did they get that answer and getting the explanation correct also. Some of you found out that you have to be careful. Sometimes the answers you find online, the book has been updated since then, and the answer is different now. Currency is no longer the primary thing in M1. It's now checkable deposits, 57% of M1 as of 2 years ago. Probably about that or maybe a little more nowadays. M2 is going to be all the balance of M1, so we'll repeat the 2240. In addition to that, we have the MMDAs, the time deposits. Those are your savings accounts you have at the bank or credit union. And the MMMFs, $400, $28.80. I think everybody got that one right. The value of the dollar in today's homework that was due today, Thursday, the April 2nd. The value of the dollar, if the price level goes to 125, your book said 1.25 because your book is already moving the decimal point over for you. A price index of 125 would be 1 over 1.25. Divide that out, you get 80 cents. The value of the dollar would be 80 cents. If the price level actually drops, if prices drop and the price index goes down to 50, that would be 1 over 0.5, and the value of the dollar would have increased to $2. What $1, what you could buy with $1 in the past, you can now get twice as much of. All right. So those are the homework problems. This video is only a little over 8 minutes long, so this one will upload to YouTube just fine. The previous video I had made was too long. I had to redo it to get it to upload to YouTube. All right. I'm planning on having a live session on Tuesday. I believe that's April 7th at noon to about 12:30, 12:40, something like that. We will go live. And I'm going to send out a survey. Please answer me. I'm going to ask you if you want to do Zoom or if you want to try to use the Canvas collaborations to do that.